Hi guys, and you are very welcome to this week's edition of Time Out. First of all, I'd like to welcome our panel for this week, Martin Kojak Conroy of IT Carlow Basketball, Men's Division 1 and Women's Super League Head Coach, Chantal Alford from Pireville Colester, and Devon Brookshire from Courtyard Celtics. So you're very welcome along, guys.
Thanks, Mary.
And the main reason we have such a star-studded Women's Super League lineup is, of course, we are going into Hula Hoops National Cup action this coming weekend across the women's and the men's Division 1. They're going into President's Cup action, and we also have one more final to be played in, or a quarter-final even, to be played in the Women's Senior National Cup as well. But first things first, we're going to start with a super quick review of the weekend that was, and we're going to start with the Men's Super League, most notably Black Amber Temple Oak and Griffith College Swords Thunder, who went head to head in Oblate Hall on Saturday evening, and what a game that proved to be. Finished at 85-85 apiece, went on into overtime, and Swords won out by 3 in the end, 97-100. And we chatted to Swords head coach Dave Baker just after the game, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, absolutely ecstatic. I mean, it showed real character this evening from my group to come out and in a hostile home crowd here at Temple Oak to come out and pull that win out, you know. When it went into overtime, I felt we had the momentum, but all credit to Temple Oak. They actually came out better in the start of the overtime, and we struggled a little bit at it, but then we loosened up and we started coming back at it, and it was to and fro. It could have gone either way, but I think Conroy came up huge there at the end with a bucket. Charlie hit some big shots, but I think Isaac was phenomenal all night, controlling the tempo from both ends.
And as we mentioned, that of course was Dave Baker, head coach of Griffith College Swords Thunder. Just speaking about that game, of course, the nod has to go there to Temple Oak's Orca Murphy, top scoring with 32 points for their side, but Conroy Baltimore of Griffith College Swords Thunder top scoring with 35, so an absolute shootout going on in Oblate Hall. But across the league there were some other big games. Mary from County Galway coming out with their third win in a row, a massive win against Aina down in Oramore last weekend, a 10-point win in the end, 83-73, with Owen Rockall top scoring for them. There was wins as well for UCD Marion, who overcame Moy Cullen. Belfast Star and Tralee Warriors went head to head up in Methody, and Tralee got back to winning ways after a bit of a rough couple of weeks, you might say, down in the complex. Got back to winning ways though against Belfast Star. That final score 66-79. Pireville Colester continued their good run. They won out against DCU Saints. And finally, UCC Demons were delighted to be back at home, and they won out well against Cubs. So a very busy weekend across the Men's Super League. And just looking at the table there, we have two at the top, joint top, Griffith College Swords Thunder, tied with UCD Marion. UCD, of course, still with that game in hand, as this weekend we move towards the refix of all the fixtures. So we're starting back to square one. But moving on to the Women's Super League, and we're going to start, seeing as I have one from each team here sitting beside me, we're going to start with one of the big games of the weekend. Pireville Colester, of course, remaining unbeaten in their home court as they overcame Courtyard Liffey Celtics. Liffey Celtics, of course, had been enjoying an unbeaten run at the top of the table, of the Women's Super League table, but it was Colester who brought that to a close, and we chatted to head coach Carl Kilbride just after that game, and here's his thoughts.
Yeah, you know, we've heard that word unbeaten a lot for the last couple of weeks, and it was something that we talked about. We've dropped a couple of games, but we felt we were playing as well as anyone in the league. We've got a lot of confidence in what we do, and you know, Liffey have been brilliant now for the first couple of weeks. So to come out and to get a first half performance the way we did, short-handed, you know, we're missing so many key players that didn't play, and to lose Becca to such a serious injury at such a critical time, I was so proud of them for the way they came back. You know, we were 7 up when Becca went out. It was a long stoppage, and they kept their head in it. And you know, we talked about we wanted to win that last 7 minutes, and we did. And I'm just really proud of the character they showed and how hard we worked.
So that was Carl Kilbride talking to us there. Chantal, first year at Colester, and now what a huge win you got there at the weekend. How did that game go for you?
Got the result that we wanted, and we had a good start, and give credit to Liffey. They made a big run in the second half and brought the game to within 2 in the fourth quarter. And I think for us, we just really pulled together after Rebecca went down and just really gutted one out for pretty much ourselves and just like everyone who couldn't play that game. everyone who's injured. And I think it's just part of the process of us learning and growing with each other and just building that confidence as we enter Cup this Sunday.
Yeah, of course, and wishing Rebecca Nagle a speedy recovery. She picked up a bit of an injury during that game. But Devin, for yourselves, of course, was there a bit of pressure on you? You know, I've probably hyped you up a bit as well. You know, that you were unbeaten, top of the table. Did that come into your head going into that game, or was it just a normal game?
I think it's hard to not let it come into your head when you're kind of building some sort of winning streak. But at this stage, you know, you're taking one game at a time, and Cluster really just came out really hard from the get-go. One of our issues this season has been slow starts, and we've been able to overcome them. But I mean, we did bring it back, but I think our start was just too slow in the beginning.
Yeah, well, as Chantal said, you brought it back to 2. Obviously, yourself showing great resilience to kind of push out and win.
Right.
But like, what was the mood like in the camp afterwards? Like, was it?
I mean, definitely disappointed. You never want to lose, but at this stage, you have to look forward. Like, we have a big game on Friday, and we just have to take and learn from what we did on Saturday, and you know, definitely showed some resilience in coming back, but we can't afford to have those slow starts moving forward as the season gets more and more competitive.
So it's probably a good, like, lessons learned, really, do you think?
Yeah, that's what you have to take when you lose.
It's the one good thing out of the loss, I suppose. Moving across to the other games of the weekend, DCU Mercy Kojak had a big win against Wildcats, 80-52. Alex Masakel, as we've seen, who's been performing so well, and Tiffany Corselli as well, 2 really top scoring for DCU. What did you make of that result? Obviously, Wildcats coming in off a loss, an overtime loss against Brunel the weekend before as well.
Yeah, we've played both teams so far this year, and like definitely Wildcats have improved, I think, from last year, even though they've lost a couple of really good players. DCU are in a rich vein of form at the moment to give Portlaoise a bit of a hiding a few weeks ago, and like they're supremely confident at the moment, and they're playing good basketball. The 2 girls played really well against us as well. They're going to be hard beat moving forward when you add Sarah Woods to that as well, and you know the younger girls coming through like Brona Bauer Cassidy and Rachel Huygens as well. I mean, it's a serious team out there. You know, a lot of good talent, a lot of depth there. Jill has done a great job at Waterford this year. Very competitive start of the year, and they will get better, I think, as they move along. Waterford's never an easy place to go either, as we all know, you know. So yeah, it was a great win for DCU there. Yeah.
And what did you think of that, Chantal? I'm going to talk to you about DCU later, but what did you think of that result? Like, you've met DCU already. You've met Wildcats actually as well. DCU obviously a tough game for you at the start of the season, coming off the back of that Glanmire game. Did that result of the weekend surprise you, or even?
No, not really, because I think DCU they're playing extremely well at this point, and I mean, I'm sure the Wildcats would have liked to have won, because it's about 2-3 losses in a row.
Yeah.
But I think DCU is just in great form, and they're going out there and playing good basketball, you know, and that's the result showed, you know. I was just like, they play together, and like they're just rolling at this point, and I think that the result showed that.
And I think as well, from watching a good few of their games as well, Ash Sullivan has been huge for them so far this year as well, no?
Yeah, and you forget about a name like Ash Sullivan. I mean, she was, again, when we played against them, she was fantastic against them.
Yeah.
Against us, like, I mean, she just controlled the game for them. She's got so much experience. She's a fantastic player. Yeah. You know, and you know, she's a real leader as well. You know, which is something that a group of young girls like that can do it. You know what I mean? Herself and Sarah are the leaders definitely of that group. You know. Yeah. And then, like, with a great coach as well, like Mark, you know, he knows the score around this league, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
They play off each other well.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They mesh well.
Yeah. So you can kind of see it all starting to click, really. Like, not that it didn't click last year, of course, but they just seem to have stepped up another level, I think, this year. Which I'm sure you're looking forward to on Friday, but we'll talk about that soon. But over to Portlaoise. Your home county of Laois But Portlaoise Panthers got back to winning ways at the weekend. Stephanie Smith shooting the lights out.
She killed us 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, sure.
She had 34 points against us. She was fantastic, and the whole team, to be fair to Peter, the whole team played really, really well against us, and they totally deserved to beat us with the way they played. I was actually talking to my nephew Keith, who was at the game on Saturday night, because we were up at Freshers and up in Sligo, but he was just saying that Steph again just couldn't miss a shot. She had 30 points, I think. 36 points.
Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah.
And then, as well as that, you had Stephanie Poland inside, who was doing a lot of damage again. And Galway aren't the biggest team in the world. So, when you've got Steph is able to do some damage on the boards there, and young players coming in, like young Karen Dooley's doing, Amy Dooley, who played with us last year. Yeah. She's got a lot better.
She's really nice this year, actually, isn't she? Yeah.
So, it's a big credit to Portlaoise. They've won 2 games that they would have been aiming at, which would be us and Galway. Yeah. To make sure that they're not involved in a relegation battle towards the end of the season. So, you have to hand them, hand it to them. They've won both those games, and they won both comfortably as well. They beat us by 20 and they beat Galway by 20. Yeah. So it puts them in a good position going into the second half of the season.
Yeah, but you have to look at Mystics again, coming to you guys as well, you both played them as well. I nearly feel like Mystics deserve wins at this stage because they've come so close to everybody, and I nearly feel like they've been extremely unlucky not to have a win with the way they've been playing either.
Yeah, they played us really close as well, so I think that at some stage, some teams, it takes them a while to figure out how to finish a game, and that could be something that they're struggling with at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, I know we played them at the start of the season, first game, and we lost Fish to an injury, and it was just kind of like what you were saying about Rebecca. Right. It was the girls kind of banding together and saying, it's kind of one for Old Yeller or whatever it is, but we're going to get this win for our teammate. Sure. And I think that's the reason we took that game out.
Yeah.
That
went to overtime.
That went to overtime. Yeah. I think we got them by 3 or 4 in the end.
And they ran very close with Brunel, I think.
6 points.
Yeah.
6 points with Glanmire. 6 points with they're thereabouts every game,
Yeah, so it's really just a matter of probably one win, and then it could all change, because it's kind of hard mentality, really, isn't it? Yeah. And over to the last game of the weekend, Ambassador UCC Glanmire and Singleton Super Value Brunel playing it out for bragging rights down in Cork, and it was Glanmire who came out on top of that game. But moving to Men's Division 1, and Kojak, you're going to be talking a lot, but we'll try to keep it short.
Some people say that's not unusual, Mary.
But we're going to be doing more of a preview on the Men's Division 1, because obviously Hula Hoops National Cup coming up this weekend in the President's Cup. But one game I really want to focus on from the weekend was the other Cork derby, and that was on Neptune, who were unbeaten up until last Friday, that is, of course, going head to head with Ballincollig. Ballincollig winning out by 100 points to 91, so huge shooting from both sides of the team. But before I come to you, Kojak, we're just going to hear what head coach Paul Kelleher had to say about losing their first game this season.
Yeah, I guess that's just learning. What people forget, we've done such a wonderful job all year, and we've done such a wonderful job in the last year and a half, but we're still very young. You look at it, we're still extremely young, so they're huge learning. We were 21, whatever it was, 18, 19 up, I can't even remember what it was, full of control of the game. And the thing that we said in that timeout, that things with timeouts, when it's against you, don't let them work, and we let it work. And next thing we were down, and it was just one of those things where we just didn't continue what we were doing. We didn't move the ball well. We were very passive. We were accepting of some of their defence. From minute 0 to 8, by far we were the best team. From minute 8 to minute 38, they were the better team. And from minute 38 to 40, we were the better team. We did things in the last 2 minutes that we were kind of tentative to do in the previous 30 minutes. We were more inexperienced and poor. But we get there.
And that, of course, was Neptune's Paul Kelleher, who we had on the show last week, and who I'm sure is looking forward to a big weekend of Hula Hoops National Cup action. But Kojak, what did you think of that game? Paul on the show last week reckoned that Ballincollig were the best team in the league. They're top of the table now with 1 loss. Obviously, Keenstown Valley, Clorglen just below them, who haven't been beaten at all yet, but have, I think, 2 games in hand on Ballincollig. But that was like a really big game.
Yeah, we played both teams. We played Neptune in the first game of the season and beat us by 45 points. And then we played them in the cup and we played a lot better. And I just thought Neptune were a really good team. They're really young, they're small. But then you've got the experience of Ger Noonan and Gary Walsh and Shane Duggan and these guys kind of mixing it in there with them, and that's why they've been so successful, I think, so far. And obviously Paul's doing a great job with them and keeping the young lads together. But after playing Ballincollig, and we played them out in Old Loughlin, even after playing Neptune twice and losing to them twice, I thought Ballincollig were the best team I'd seen. Wow. Their American is Cameron Lark is exceptional. You've Ronan O'Sullivan and Kieran O'Sullivan. Dylan Corkery that's down in UL. Yeah. I mean, they're a really, really well-drilled team, know how to play together, have probably played together, since they were young lads. Yeah. And, it shows on the floor. They know each other's game inside out. They play a real nice style of basketball. They can go inside out. They defend really, really well. I think they're going to be a hard team to beat for the rest of the season.
So one of the hot favourites, so.
Yeah, there's 3 of them there, I mean, there really are, and it is really a 3-horse race, and like we're in 4th place, so that's what I'm saying, like they're between like Clorglen as well. We played them down in Clorglen. They're very strong, they're very deep,
big as well.
And they're huge. You can't, I suppose, Father Matthews as well. Like, I mean, they're going to be good, but like those 3 teams have kind of got the jump on the rest of the league. By not losing any kind of games, whereas like the rest of us have lost 3 or more. I think it's going to be between those 3 to see who wins it, but it'll be a very interesting top 4.
Yeah, interesting indeed, and especially they're all so close to each other. One loss really could just change the whole thing around.
And they all play each other in the next couple of
weeks.
Yeah,
which is really interesting.
Which is going to be great fun, because that's going to bring us further up the league. So that's what I'm happy about. You know what I mean?
You're just watching that table every Saturday.
None of them watching the table, but yeah, it's probably am. And then a few of them have to go up to Elks as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a trip, and they're a really solid team.
And the Neptune Clorglen game is going to be a big one.
That'll be pivotal. You have to see who Ballincollig have left to play in the last couple of games. Yeah. They've beaten like 2 of the top 4 already. I think, did they lose to Matthews? I think that's the only loss they've had.
That's the loss they have, is the loss
so Matthews will be 5th, so they still got to play Clorglen, they still got to play Elks.
Yeah.
So they're going to be some big games coming up as well. So, it could be like the Super League men's, where you see 2 or 3 losses, 4 losses might win it at the end, but I think it's going to be between those 3.
Interesting indeed. Well, speaking of Clorglen, they remained unbeaten, as we just mentioned, with a 123 to 70 point win against LYIT Donegal last weekend. Moving over to yourselves, I know you had a bit of a trek from the Freshers weekend in Dundalk up to Sligo, but it was a worthwhile trip. You came out with a win.
Certainly was, yeah. Myself and 4 of the lads, with 2 lads coaching, 3 lads coaching up there, and 1 guy playing in Freshers. So we'd all to jump in a car and go to Sligo. But it was great to go up there. The crowd, it's not on the same kind of scale as our Kerry teams, but it was great to see a crowd at a basketball game. Like, there was 300 people there.
Yeah, they do great work in Sligo.
Really well organised, really well run. Yeah. We got away to a slow start. It was, you could call it bus legs, I suppose. We got out and scored 13 points in the first quarter, which wasn't good. Yeah. But then we went 32-27 in the next 2 quarters. Wow. That kind of put the game to bed. Big Dan is doing a really good job for us at the moment. Like, he did a real good job on Jesus. Yeah. Aaron Whelan on the point at the minute has been phenomenal, defensively and offensively, the last couple of games. And Jimmy, Jimmy's getting buckets, as he says himself. He had I think he had 24 again at the weekend. Yeah. We're coming together. We're coming together nicely as a team. When you start the season with a 45-point loss, and we get to where we are now, we're not doing too bad.
No, definitely.
It's a process that Chantal was talking about, and like, I hate that word now because they've used it over the Sixers, but you know what I mean. But it's definitely a process that we're getting there. We're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, well, you're proving that already. So and to be fourth on the table at this stage of the season is
Hell of a lot better than last year.
hell of a lot better than last year. Yeah.
But we were looking up at everybody.
And two big wins just, and the two other games I'm just going to ask you to chat on. Kilkenny, 2 big wins for them. Paris, Texas, Kilkenny, should I say. 111 to 81 point win over Dublin Lions with Taylor Young, who we had on a couple of weeks ago, is top scoring for them that day with 28. And then a massive win against St. Paul's, 86-72. Like, that's 2 big wins, and it's good momentum for them going into a huge cup game this weekend.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me. You know, I mean, Kilkenny to do it year in, year out. They're always there in the cup come semi-finals time. They're always
You're jinxing
top
there,
5, 6. No, they'll be okay. They're always top 5, top 6 in the league.
Yeah.
Like after Lions the previous week had put up a crazy score again, 100 and odd points.
Yeah.
For Kilkenny to do that to them was excellent, but I think the big win was against Killarney.
Yeah.
You know, Killarney have taken on a new coach in Cormac O'Donoghue. Very, very good coach. Coached Castellan Ladies for 3-4 years, so I would have coached against him. Didn't beat him very often. Very, very assured. Will know what his game plan is from here on in with his team. Will know he'll want to get them into that top 7 to make them compete. But the other side of it is Kilkenny. You've got Julian, you've got Taylor, you've got Butsy down there. Now Tommy O'Mahony has stepped in on the sideline as well, which is a big help to them. While Julian's on the floor, you know, Brian Hogan, all these guys are, you know, they're all putting up numbers every week and they're all playing hard for each other. And they're a very, very hard team to beat. You know, we played them a couple of weeks ago, beat them by 4 down there. To be fair, we got out of jail a little bit, truth be told. But you can see them start to rise up the table now. I think because they lost so many early on, they're going to struggle to make that top 7. But you never know. They've got 3-4 games left. They win all 4. You never know what might happen, you know.
Speaking of that top 7, for those of you that don't know, the men's Division 1 splits after Christmas into top 7, bottom 7. There's a couple of teams in and around there, really. It's going to be a dogfight, really, for the next couple of weeks. We've Elks in 6th, LYIT Donegal in 7th, but they've played 12 games and Elks have only played 10. Paris, Texas, Kilkenny, as you said, they're in 8th, again have only played 10 games. And then St. Paul's in 9th. And as you said, there's some other big games that could change.
Even
the
throw
4 or
Port
5.
into that, Mary, you know. Port are picking up wins the last few weeks, you know, as well.
And they have 2 games in hand as well, so.
And Jimmy's doing a great job down there.
They had a big win against Titans at the weekend there as well.
Yeah. Mantis and Tim.
Yeah.
Tim Stewart. Have you seen him play? Wow.
You need to get to Port here,
Tim can play.
We'll drive you through a tour of the Midlands.
There you go. Yeah, look, it's going to be, hopefully we can do enough just to kind of stay out of that group, I hope. We kind of
need to stay above there because it's a real...
got that jump maybe of about 3 or 4 points or 3 or 6 points ahead of them, so we need to stay up there and, you know, just kind of consolidate our position. But the next 4 or 5, 6 spots are going to be fun to watch now over the next 3 or 4 weeks, you know, see who makes that top 7.
And speaking of St. Paul's being in that mix as well, they actually suffered a second loss last weekend even, against Father Matthew, so they'll be hoping to change their fortunes around. But moving over to the Women's Division 1, and it's actually Hula Hoops National Cup. It started for them last weekend, and Chantal, I was talking to you about this on the way over to the arena. Like, Niamh Dwyer has ice in her veins because Father Matthews booked their spot in the semi-final of the Hula Hoops National Cup with a 44 to 42 point win over last year's finalists, Marble City Hawks. Hawks, of course, losing that final last year in a phenomenal game of basketball against Ulster Rockets that went to overtime, as we can all remember. It gives all heart attacks here on the sideline. But Niamh Dwyer, like, you've played with her, you've seen her obviously from playing in Cork so long as well. Like, that takes some nerve, really, doesn't it? Just to be able to...
She's a vet. She's composed, and she doesn't really let anything get to her, you know?
Like, of all the people you want on a free throw line to win a game, it's her, really,
right. And the big moment, it's for her, you know? Like, she'd definitely be the one to just kind of take it by the reins, take it head on, and she doesn't shy away from it. So yeah, like, I'd expect that from Niamh, you know, game winner on the free throw line. And she did it, you know, sealed it. So props to her, like, you know, props to her.
And what a win, Kojak. Like, Hawks, humongous disappointment for them. Obviously, Father Matthews and Hawks know each other so well this year. They've already met in the league. They're meeting the Champions Trophy, and then this quarter final. Like they're probably sick of the sight of each other at this stage, but
they are, I'd say, and they've all been close games
yeah.
as well. Like again, Julian and the job he's done with the girls down there is fantastic. Like, you know, obviously the Katie and Kelly are huge for them, but Anya Shee is so in that game at 14 points, I think. Like she's kind of one that goes under the radar, but does her thing, you know.
She was huge for them in the cup final last year, actually, as well.
She's a fantastic player. I was lucky enough. I had her 3 years ago. She played for us for a year, and she's absolutely brilliant to work with.
Yeah.
You know, and easy to work with. You know, but Matthews unbeaten, I think, since the start of the season.
Yeah.
Flying along, you know. I was going to call him Boo Boo. James has done a great job there over the last couple of years. He's starting to blood in a few of the younger girls now, and it's great to have the experience of Neve, who you've played with as well. You know, and you know that kind of experience on a team for a young girl coming through is fantastic to have. You know, and as well, Kelly Callahan as well.
Experience as well, though, for me. Yeah. Like, you know, obviously she's from the Glanmire, you know, who's so used.
She's used to winning.
She's used to winning, yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. Like, winning tight games, winning large score games doesn't matter. Like, she'll be there at the end of the game, every game, to do whatever needs to be done, you know. And
it must have hurt last year as well. You have to remember that the two of these, Father Matthews and Hawks, met in the quarterfinals last year, and Hawks actually knocked Father Matthews out of the cup. So a bit of time revenge there. Payback, yeah. And the other quarterfinal that was on, just bear in mind, Griffith College Swords Thunder have a bye into the semi-final of the cup. So the other quarterfinal that was on last weekend, Meteors travelled up to Ulster University Elks and came out with a big win there. 54-71 was the final score. So disappointment for Elks, but I'd say Meteors will be
very happy.
Experience, They've had a bit of a roller coaster in the league.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's that coming down out of the Super League into Division 1. Like, you think that they should be able to just go and do whatever they need to do to get back up, or even win cup games or whatever, but it's never that easy, you know. We're talking about it at the moment. We're obviously going to be in a relegation dogfight coming to the end of the season. We don't want to go back down because it's going to be twice as hard to get back up into the Super League after that, you know. I was talking to Kate O'Flaherty. She popped into Freshers on her way up to Belfast, and she was really looking forward to the game. And I see she had 17 points, I think, in it in the end. And she's playing really well lately as well. So Meteors are getting their stuff going. We played in pre-season. We only beat them by 2 out in Meteors. The post player they got from Sports Changes Life, her name escapes me now, but she was super. She's one of the best bigs I've seen in the women's league in a long time. And then the little girl from St. Joe's as well, point guard.
She's fabulous.
Megan, is it? Yeah. Like, she's fantastic. And then you look at all the Irish players they've had who have been there for years.
Emer, Martin, and
Emer, yeah. You know, they all know how to play the game, and they'll know how to get back up.
Yeah.
I think again, you know, Matthews might have that run on them. You know, they've had that 4-game winning streak where they're unbeaten and they're pushing to kind of win that league. Kind of like what we did last year. We kind of got really lucky in a couple of area games. Yeah. Won out by 3 or 4 points or whatever, but it was enough to get us over the line at the end then, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, those were the 2 quarterfinals on the last quarterfinal coming up this coming weekend, and we're actually going to look ahead to the weekend. We have got, as I said, Hula Hoops National Cup action in 3 out of the 4 divisions. The Men's Super League going ahead as normal this weekend. The Men's National Cup starting the following weekend, so the weekend of the 8th of December. But looking at fixtures in the Men's Super League this weekend, UCD Marion and Aina going ahead tomorrow night, so that is Thursday night at 8 o'clock in UCD, which is obviously attracting a lot of interest this week because Michael Darragh Macaulay has come on to the Aina Super League panel and visited the office here yesterday with Sam Maguire, and I wasn't here, so I'm very upset about that, but hopefully he'll bring it to the game tomorrow night. And then the Belfast Classic, of course, is on this weekend, so there's no games across the league on Saturday, but on Sunday there's some very interesting games indeed. Griffith College Swords Thunder going head to head with Pirate Leicester, Garvey's Tralee Warriors and UCC Demons going head to head. Now that's a repeat, obviously we're gone back to the start of the fixtures again, so that was the first game of the season across the 4 divisions. Actually, that game was the first game across the league, and Demons won out in the Mardyke by 2, so no doubt Tralee will be looking for revenge in that. And what's interesting is the two of those teams actually meet again the following weekend in the National Cup, but it's gone back to Cork the following weekend, so it's going to be a very interesting week indeed across the Men's Super League. Elsewhere we have Belfast Star, who are home to Cubs, and Black Amber Templeogue are playing DCU Saints in what is expected to be another great game. But moving to the Women's National Cup, first round for everyone. Actually, I was going to say preliminary round, but that's tomorrow night. I'm going to start with you, Kojak, because it is the preliminary round. You're travelling down to Calasanctus College in Oranmore, County Galway, to play NUIG Mystics. The prelim round, and just to explain that, whoever wins that game tomorrow night will play Portlaoise Panthers in the quarter-final stages. So it's the only game that's being played as a preliminary round. All the other games across the weekend are quarter-final games. So how are you feeling about that?
We know it's going to be another huge test for us, you know. I mean, Galway, even though they haven't got a victory yet, have been so close in so many games. And, you know, sooner or later they're going to get over the line. And I'm hoping it's not tomorrow night, you know, is the thing. They've got a really good team. Like Dana, Maggie, who I watched at Freshers at the weekend.
Anya's playing superb.
Anya McDonough has hit 20s the last couple of games, and then have you know, like some Hannah Cohn, who I think has missed a few games now, but might be back. You know, they're going to be a huge test for us. Like, we're still obviously hurting from the start of the season, losing our point guard first game of the season, which was a killer. But yeah, we'll be okay. We won't go down there not thinking we can win the game. You know, we're going down there to win the game and try and get a home draw in the next round against Portlaoise at home. So
I was talking about you in your absence on one of the shows, can't even remember which, but is there extra motivation for you in the fact that the next game is Portlaoise?
Yes.
Yes.
No, there is, definitely there is.
Yeah.
I mean,
like Midlands Derby, and obviously
I'm born and reared in Portlaoise. I've lived in Portlaoise all my life, you know, so I was involved with that club before. We would definitely like another shot at Portlaoise. We don't think we did ourselves any kind of justice the last time we played against them, and we said that collectively in the changing room after the game. And that's just not the girls. I mean, I know for a fact that I didn't coach well that day because my head was probably in a different place, you know, but and that transferred into what the girls did on the floor. So I have to have their back, and I have to understand that, you know, some of the mistakes I made led to losing that game as well. So I definitely want another shot, you know, and I know the girls do too.
Especially in Cup.
Yeah, well, Cup League, I don't care where it is. we want another shot, you know. Like, we're getting better every game. We've been blown out twice. I mean, Chantal killed us up in Gloucester there a few weeks ago. Thanks, Chantal. Like, that was a beating and a half. Like, I mean, it was 25, but realistically it could have been 45. Against Gloucester. Portlaoise beat us by 20. We just never got out of blocks, you know. And if you're not getting out of the blocks at the start of the game, that's not the player's fault, that's the coach's fault. So that's the way I look at that, you know. So, but I can promise that the coach will be ready next time, as well as the team.
Very good. Will you be ready tomorrow night first? So.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean.
Each other last year, but different kettle of fish this year. DCU on very strong form at the moment. They're coming to your house, I know, but it was very close when you played them over in DCU. So how are you all feeling about that?
I think we're really excited. We're ready to go. we definitely have to bounce back from this past weekend. So it's just all about, at this stage, our teams know each other really well, as you said. So it's just about who's going to execute down the stretch and stick to their game plan and play. We just have to play our game.
And is there extra kind of, I don't know, passion or pressure? Like obviously, Liff Celtic lost the cup to yourself when you were with Glanmire last year. Lost the cup in that huge final here in the arena last year. Is that an added motivation for the girls? Are they seeing an end goal here, or are they just taking it one match?
I think in the distance we see the end goal. I mean, I wasn't here this past year, but at this stage you have to take it one match at a time. You can't get too caught up in the future. You just have to go one game at a time, because if you don't, then that's when you can get in trouble.
Yeah.
So our focus is really just on Friday.
And Chantal, what do you think of that game? As a looking in on it.
I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Don't know who's gonna pull it out.
Very hard to call, isn't it?
Both teams are strong. But I'm looking forward to it, that's for sure. Yeah.
And home advantage is massive for you guys as well.
Yeah.
So definitely been an interesting one, and you never know, there might be a stream coming from it. And then of course Saturday, Belfast Classic, which we'll be talking about in a couple of minutes, but so no games on Saturday, double on Sunday then, and we're going to come to yourselves first, because this is a very interesting one indeed. Whatever about DCU and Liffey Celtics, you're playing against former team Ambassador UCC Glanmire, and it's over in the IWA in Clontarf. So Colester at home, who we already know are very, very hard to beat at the moment, unbeaten at home. But you're lining out against your former teammates in a cup game.
Right.
So it's a tough game all round, but is that extra element for you there?
Yeah. It is.
We just have Sheena wrecking the place behind the camera, in case that's what you're wondering. But
no, there's definitely motivation there. Like they won 4 in a row, and just as they probably think we're in their way, I think they're in our way.
Yeah.
Because I want to be playing that first weekend in January.
Yeah.
We all do at Colester. And so our only goal is to go out there, play hard, play smart, and win. And I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a challenge, but I think we're all up for it.
yeah, you match up quite well as well.
Yes.
Like I know you met each other in the first game of the season, which you can never really tell anything from anyway.
Right.
And Glanmire winning on that occasion, but like if you look at it now, like you do match up very well across the board.
Yes, we do. And I think it's just people kind of playing their role, playing hard, number one. And we're just playing together. And it's working out well for us.
Yeah.
So I think we just go out there and compete. And that's kind of been helping us along the way, and just learning the game, learning each other. And it's just about the heart, kind of going out there and playing hard.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. I am.
Yeah, well, that is set to be a very interesting game indeed. Again, a preview of all these women's games is in the Irish Daily Star today, if you want to pick that up, and it does talk about Glanmire's drive for 5, because do have to acknowledge Ambassador UCC Glanmire, of course, dominating the Women's National Cup for the last 4 years, and going for their 5th in a row. So it'll be interesting to see if Carol Kilbride and Colester will be the ones to stop them in their tracks. But the last quarter-final of the weekend, and it's set to be a really interesting battle, Kojak. Singleton Super Value Brunel at home in Parochial Hall, and they're welcoming Maxall WIT Wildcats in a repeat of a league game that took place 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and Brunel came back from 10 points down at half time to draw the game at full time and win in overtime. So it's going to be a really close battle, I think.
Yeah, it's another one that's kind of, we were talking about this before we came on, that it was like first versus second, third versus fourth, fifth versus sixth, all the way down the league really, you know. So, Francis, I think, has done a fantastic job with Brunel this year.
Yeah.
I think they won, 3 games last year, and they've already got 3 or 4 this year.
Yeah.
With a long way to go.
Yeah.
I'm not calling that one. That one's going to be tight.
You can't really call any of them, though, can you?
No. Yeah, I think it's the weekend where it's a coin flip.
Anything can happen.
Yeah,
on the day,
yeah. Which is always the way with the cup. I think the cup's a bit of a different animal anyway.
Yeah.
But as you said, one's playing 2, 3's playing 4, 5v6, and then 8v9 in your prelim, and the winner of that plays 7, who's Portlaoise. So it's all very evenly matched across the board. Of course, you guys tied with DCU Mercy at the top of the table. DCU just pipping you at the top though on points difference, presumably coming from that game 2 weeks ago. But that is the 4 women's games. Moving over to the men's Division 1, and it is President's Cup action this weekend, and some big games in store. The first one I'm going to look at, obviously reigning cup champions Neptune, who did the treble last year. They are under 18, under 20 and President's Cup champions, winning the Friday, the Saturday and the Sunday of the cup final weekend in the arena last weekend. They're starting the journey of the defence of that title against Titans on Sunday, and you would imagine Neptune would be favourites first.
Yeah, but we all talk about the cup, you know. I mean, they beat us by 45, and then we played them first round of the cup, and we lost by 4.
You almost knocked them out at that stage.
We were 14 up against them going into the last 6 minutes or something, and they definitely did a great job of closing out that game.
Yeah,
we didn't. Titans are a team that's kind of, you know, 1 week can be really good, and next week can be really poor. So it's kind of hard to know what comes from them.
Keegan
Ryan is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic player.
Yeah.
And you know, a couple of other kind of older heads around him would have really helped that team. Like he's got great footwork. He's huge, big, he's strong. He finishes really well. He can shoot 14, 16 feet. He'll hurt he'll hurt Neptune inside. He would definitely hurt Glenmire inside. He'll hurt Neptune inside because they're not as big. But I just think the guards from Neptune, the speed they play at.
Roy
Downey is, you know, coming down from Super League, phenomenal player, Irish international. Jer Noonan, I keep talking about Jer Noonan because I've grown up watching him play. He's just a fantastic player. I just think Neptune will have a bit too much for Titans now on that game, I think.
Yeah, and staying in County Cork, there's another big battle. Ballincollig, who we spoke a good bit about there in the review, are welcoming Portlaoise Panthers, and while Ballincollig might be favourites, I think Portlaoise are definitely going to give them a very good game of it, because as you said, Tim and Mantas have been proving so well for them, and you know, everyone loves the underdog tag, really.
Everybody does love the underdog tag. They've also got they signed a guy called Genemenis Savalis, kind of 2 or 3 games into the season, the Lithuanian guy, point guard, and he's just really settled Portlaoise down. He just runs the floor for him, runs every offense for him. That's why I think Tim and Mantas are playing so well, because he's now able to see them and get them free, get them easy looks. They've got Benny Carroll coming back after playing football for Portlaoise. So he's back in the fold now as well. And they've a lot of young kids there like Kyle Burke and Jack Dooley and these kids, you know, they're all going to learn and get better. Young Trevor Swain is only 16, you know, so Jimmy's done a really good job of putting that team together with a little bit of experience and the younger lads coming through. But as I said to you when we're talking about the league, I just think Ballincollig I think they're super. I think they're a fantastic team. Kieran Sullivan, the coach has done a fantastic job with them. And as much as I love Jimmy, I can't see that one going his way. I think Ballincollig will be too strong.
Especially at home as well.
Especially at home, yeah.
Speaking of home court advantage, Paris, Texas, Kilkenny have a massive advantage this weekend. They're at home, and Keane Super Value Killorglin are going up to see them. The 2 sides met in Kilkenny already this year in the league, with Killorglin taking the win there. But again, you've already said Kilkenny have such a strong history in the cup. There could be an upset. And
momentum as well. You know, they've had a couple of wins in a row now, so they've remembered what it's like to win again. You know, you've got Taylor, who's putting up big numbers, you know, and we talked with James Butler and Julian earlier on, going back to Killorglin. You know, you have the old head Declan Wall, and you know, you have Casper there, Ian McLaughlin. You know,
of course.
You know, they're going to be a seriously hard team to beat. That's the one game I'm not going to call.
Okay.
I think that could be a kind
right down to the wire, I think.
Yeah, tight gym down in Kilkenny, it'll be interesting, you know.
Yeah, And the final game of the weekend, which I am going to ask you to call, Father Matthews. We're back in Cork again. Father Matthews and Scots Lakers St. Paul's Killarney.
Father Matthews.
Why?
Again, we played him. God, I'm playing Killarney in 2 weeks' time. I better keep your mouth shut here. I just think they've got a lot of momentum as well. Again, we're talking about them, like they lost to us a couple of weeks ago. We played unbelievable. Their American is absolutely ridiculous. He had 43 against us, and he had 63 the following day. So it's 100 and whatever points in 2 days.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. It's less than 24 hours. Yeah. We were just saying this in the car on the way over. I was like...
But it's not only him, like, I mean, you've got Mick McGinn, who again, I love watching play. He's such a leader on the floor. He's a fantastic guy. He controls the offense for his team. You've got Paul O'Driscoll, inside, who's a big, strong man. And they have a lot of other heads there who can play the game as well. I've seen Killarney play once this year against Portlaoise in a game that they lost to Portlaoise.
Oh yeah.
I just think again, Matthews home court advantage again. I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just think Matthews will have enough in that one. So you could have 3 Cork teams in your semi-finals.
Yeah, which would be
in Cork, which would be
in Cork as well. So that'll be really interesting.
Which would be scary,
You could have a couple of more as well, unless Chantal sorts it out.
That one I'm not getting involved in.
But of course, just looking at those quarterfinals before we move on to the Senior Women's Cup. That is a load of games in Cork on Sunday. If you're down that way, that's the Brunel v Wildcats game in the Women's Cup, and then the Ballincollig Portlaoise Neptune and GameFootage.net Titans, and Father Matthews and Scots Lakers St. Paul Killarney. So decisions on where to go in Cork on Sunday. But moving to the last game of the weekend, at least in the Basketball Ireland National Leagues, it is Fab Plus Northwest and UL Huskies going head to head in the final quarter-final of the Senior Women's National Cup. Fab Plus, of course, getting a huge win in the league a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, against Ulster University Elks. But UL Huskies would probably be going into this with the big favourites tag on, because huge experience, good form in the league so far this year, and Fab Plus, of course, first time to be in a cup game at this level. Huh?
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I just like the sound of your voice.
Rachel Gaffney, she's putting up.
Rachel Sheehan, yeah.
Yeah, Rachel Sheehan, sorry.
Yeah.
I think it was Rachel Clancy, was it?
Yeah.
She's been fantastic for UL. Every game she's played, I think she's missed a couple of games. She's been 25, 30 points,
huge
whatever. And then you've got Orla Woods, and you still have the girls who've been there for the last few years. Catty on the point as well. I mean, you must have played against a few of them at St. Chantal, did you? Yeah. In the Super League. Yeah. They're going to be a hard team to beat. Great win last week for Team Northwest. The girl up there, Burrard, is it?
Yeah, Mackenzie, yeah.
Who's putting up serious numbers as well every game. I see she's doing the same in the college games.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, an interesting one indeed. But that is all of the games across the league. Thanks a million for your insights into the Women's League. We'll be watching them closely this weekend. But don't forget, it is, of course, the Belfast Classic this weekend. So games are tipping off on Friday, December 1st in the SSE Arena in Belfast, obviously. The first game tipping off at 4:30 on Friday. That's Manhattan versus Holy Cross. And the second game at 7 p.m. In the SSE Arena in Belfast as well. So make sure to get your tickets. They're still available now, and the playoff games are the following day. So the runner-up match is at 2:30 on the Saturday, and the championship game is at 5 p.m. and there also might be a guest appearance from the Ireland Under-18 ladies as well, from what we hear. So it's set to be a fantastic weekend of basketball, superb showcase of basketball, and as we said, there's no other games on the Saturday, so you've no excuse not to go to Belfast. But thanks again to Kojak, Chantal and Devon for joining us this week, and we should be back next week where we will be looking to the Men's National Cup, where there is going to be a new winner crowned as Griffith College Swords Thunder were knocked out in the opening round. So we can't wait we're looking forward to that. Thanks for joining us.